Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Comic Shop Talk on the Late Night Chat Network, your first stop for pop culture talk. I'm your host, Niko, and join with me today, as always, my co-host, Chris. How's it going?
Hey, not too bad. How are you?
I'm good. And this is episode 222, another week of comics here. This is our weekly comic book review show where we talk about everything we've read every week, and we give you our thoughts and reviews and ratings on them. You know, we show off and check out some of the artwork. We sometimes talk about some comic book news. I also want to quickly mention, check the feed because we'll also be dropping our monthly episode of comic book solicitations for you guys out there. That's where me and Chris review all of the upcoming books that will be coming out in the coming months when the comic companies drop their solicits, which preview all of the books that'll be coming out in about 3 months' time. So we'll be talking about June 2026 on that episode. So make sure to check that out. Me and Chris do those once a month. And make sure to like and subscribe. You can always check back with us here for this show weekly, and we do those monthly. Make sure to check those out too. A lot of good comic talk in those episodes as well. And today we're going to be talking about new comics that came out for the week of March 18th, 2026. As I mentioned, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that thumbs up button, hit the like button. Check out some of our shorts that we've been putting out lately too. I've been putting out some smaller clips there for you guys as well, and more on the way. Kind of give you like a little preview of us, mentioning what our initial thoughts on some of the books. And, we even kind of preview our favorite books of the week. But if you watch the full show, don't spoil yourself with those one. That's only kind of get you interested, kind of, get you to check out the full video. So, but yeah, there's some good previews on there, some good stuff. We'll have to come up with something interesting for those. Make sure to check those out. Spoiler warning, we are going to be talking about what happens in the books here today. We talk about huge week of comics. So without further ado, we should get to it. But this week we are talking about, as I mentioned, March 18th comics. Huge week of comics, Chris. All right.
Let's talk comics.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Got a big bottle here today. I figured, I'm just gonna have a beer, but I'll get the biggest bottle.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, you like that, eh? I'm pretty sure you can guess what brand that is. I'm not gonna show it off. It's OE. It's a big 40. That would have been even better. All right, guys. First up on the docket here today is Lobo #1. I know a book that me and Chris were both very much looking forward here to. This is by Scotty Young writing and Jorge Corona or George Corona. Don't know how you pronounce it, but he's a hell of an artist, this guy. We really dig his stuff. Chris, what were your initial thoughts on this?
I think it's a George or Jorge Corona. His art freaking suits Lobo 100%. No complaints there. It reminds me of the old comics back in the day. I wish there was more of it. As for the story, though, or the writing itself, well, I got to see what's coming. It's sort of missing some of the satirical or the either the dark humor or just like the impact or like maybe the jokes that the ones I remember had at least. But there's hints of some stuff in there. I know, I don't want to say he's trying, but at least he's not trying too hard. So maybe if that's not going to be his MO for the series, I'm okay with that. But if they did have something like that going on, then that would have pushed this right over the edge.
Yeah,
what did you think of it?
Yeah, I agree. I quite liked this issue on the art side of things. The story was a little light, so I agree with I kind of need I need to get a little bit more for me to kind of to be fully on board for this. But I thought it was interesting so far. I definitely think it captured some of the 90s energy through the art. Here's the thing about the art. It's not like Bisley drawing it, but it's still kind of got the same kind of energy to it, like the layouts and some of the way that he's drawing certain parts of the book. I definitely got that. It felt like the old Lobo series at times, but yet he still kind of kept a more cartoony style of sorts that I think really suits what Scotty Young does well. It's definitely in his wheelhouse of how Scotty Young, his art is as well. I really like these two collaborating together. And I'm looking forward to another issue. Like by the time I got to the end of the issue, I was looking forward to more. Like, I mean, let's take a look at some of the art here. Again, that's my favorite part about the book so far. I mean, the story is, a simple setup for a simple story so far. But
yeah, it seemed like more of an introduction to Lobo. It gives some of his past. I do like the one panel where they kind of gloss over a dark time in Lobo's history where he was more like an emo kind of like, he's a skinny emo kid or something.
The new 52 Lobo. Oh God. Yeah. Yeah. He's like, I don't really know what happened there. And then he just glosses over it. Yeah. And he's like, and then I had some kids. Like they touched on all the different things that have happened to him over the years in that double page spread. I thought quite well. I agree. And like, I think the humor was there, but they also weren't overdoing it. I thought that the humor was well done, and like it wasn't like a joke per panel kind of stuff. It definitely is violent, like in the sense that he's grabbing the shit out of people, he's shooting people up. That there's this great double page spread, which I'm sure we'll get to in a moment, where he just pulls out like his guns. And just like I love the art. Like the art is honestly my favorite part about it so far. I just I as long as he continues to draw it, I think I'll continue to buy it. But I think that I hope this was just Scotty Young kind of easing into this so far in this first issue, because we're going to be talking about some other number ones here. And when it comes to these number ones, these guys got to really impress me at this point in time, just because, like, we're always looking to cut books off the pull list. They're always growing. So, I don't know. But I'm in for now. Like you as well, I assume. You just expect
I'll be keeping this one for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I give it a 4.0, no problem.
Yeah, I'll also give it a 4. I mean, if it was just going based off the story, I'd probably give it like a 3.75, but I'll give it a 4 out of 5 in terms of the art. Just gives it that little bump. This page right here, awesome. And then there's another one here that I quite liked. Yeah, like just like anytime like he's kind of he's shooting off like that, like with his guns, and even like the chains, the look of him, really great stuff. I really dug it. Next up, I only read this one. It sounds like here. Batwoman #1. This is by Greg Rucka and the artist Danny. Greg Rucka, of course, has written Batwoman before. He has a pretty heralded run on the character. Basically he created this version of Batwoman, this character, if I'm not mistaken. And I have like his omnibus of his Batwoman stuff. I really like his older Batwoman stuff I've read. She really hasn't been at the forefront of any of the Bat titles for a while, I feel like, or has had her own title. The last time we saw her, she was in James Tynan's. He did a Detective Comics run where she was the team leader of the team in the Detective Comics run, which was great. I thought he did a great job with her, but of course he doesn't write for DC really like that anymore. He's off doing his creator own stuff with Image and other companies now. So I say all that to say this was a bad debut issue. I did not like this first issue. I think this is really bad. I'm actually kind of disappointed you didn't read it, Chris, because I would have liked to hear what you had to say, because they did not do any new readers or people that haven't read this character before any favors with this #1 issue. It was almost like Greg Rucka was like, yeah, the people that are going to check this book out are people that know me from writing this character, and he kind of is picking up where he left off in terms of some of the storylines that he did maybe previous with this character. So for that reason, I think it was a poorly done first issue. Me and a friend of mine who also read it were talking about it as well, and he agreed that it was one of those things where he was like, it felt like I was missing something, like we missed an issue or something like that. And for as far as first issues go, it just was not done well. I'll give it a couple more issues. Like I said, I like Greg Rucka. I like his Batwoman, but as a return to the series, I felt like it just wasn't, he didn't address it very well. Like he talks about, she's in Greece. It looks like she's like in therapy. We don't really understand as to why she's there. She clearly is having issues, and you see her out of her Batwoman costume for most of the issue, and it looks like she's in like a home, like maybe under surveillance. She's banged up, and she's talking to, like, it seems like a therapist. Then they keep cutting back to some scenario. Something happened where I guess her sister had died, and from what I remember from Greg Rucka's Batwoman run, or even the Batwoman run that continued on without him after he left, it's been a while since I've read it, this character that she's fighting was to reveal to be her sister from that run. So all we know is that she's not in a good place currently. She's in Greece for some reason, and she's having these horrific flashbacks about something that happened between her and her sister. And then by the end of the issue, she kind of she's in the Batwoman costume again. And it looks like she's kind of figured out that she's being observed by someone. Like someone seems to be spying on her while she's staying out there. And that's kind of what I got from this issue. But again, even as someone who's read this stuff, I think it just wasn't done well. And I hope that he finds his footing in the next couple of issues, or this is going to be something I drop and maybe revisit and trade. I thought the art was good. The art's interesting. Danny's an artist that definitely plays like with the blacks a little bit more with the inking, like kind of, this spotting the blacks. Like it's almost like, I don't know, like, some of Frank Miller's stuff, more recent stuff, or like, even like Mike Mignola from Hellboy. I really like her style, and it's interesting. And, I think she's been doing more comics lately. Like, now that she's on like a big 2 book, I think she did some stuff through Image and stuff. So, yeah, I'll give it another issue. We'll see. I think I've pre-ordered one more issue, but not a strong start. I give this a 3 out of 5 for the reasons I stated. All right. And then next up, we got Deathstroke #1.
Got that issue somewhere. Not too bad.
I didn't know you picked this up.
Well, I think my LCS, they might have ordered a bunch, just because I think these ones were cheap or something for the first issue. So he had it there, and I'm always interested in Deathstroke, see what he's up to, and I was glad to pick this one up. I thought the story was decent. It kind of introduces you, I guess, to just more of the Deathstroke that we all know, where he's just a mercenary or a hitman type of guy. I think this issue focuses more on that. I wasn't aware that he had some guy in a chair, which, that turns out to be a big part of the story here. But this Wintergreen is kind of keeping him in the dark about his whole next kill. He's all set up for it. And, basically it looks like he's raiding some compound. And, I was just kind of, I thought the art was great. The story worked well. And, when you get to the ending, I don't know if you want to talk about that, there's a bit of a swerve there that kind of keeps your interest.
Yeah, he got killed, it looks like, which is pretty big because that character's been around for a long time assisting Deathstroke. And it looks like he was set up in a way where, he thinks he's talking to him this whole time. He's on his way in the middle of a mission. He is a merc, so I guess he was hired to do something here. And from my understanding, he shows up at the end unbeknownst to him, and it's Wintergreen that's in the seat there where he goes and he gets killed as a result, right? Like he's right. I think that's what ends up happening.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
That's about his relationship with his daughter in this issue as well. I don't know if there's something going on with Deathstroke too, that he's dying because he seems to want to change or something.
He has a weird, messed up family history. This character, it's very complicated. This guy's history with his kids and everything else that entails. So that's all I'll say about that. From everything I've read or understand of the character, yeah, he's got a weird, fucked up family dynamic. This guy. Between him and his kids, and the only person that in his life that was like a constant and was Wintergreen. So this is like his Alfred essentially. You know what I mean? Like this is not great. He seemed pissed off at the end. So, what'd you think of the art?
Yeah, I thought the art was great for this. Like there's that big splash page just showed there where he rides that truck out in there to kind of break through the front lines. lot of action in here, so I had no complaints about this at all.
I thought this was all right. I don't know. I just read this on a whim. I've tried to read other Deathstroke series before, and they never, surprisingly enough, never kind of kept me around. I'd be willing to give this another issue. It was fine for me. I didn't think it was bad. I am interested to see where it kind of goes based on the ending. I'll say that, but I also wasn't like blown away by this either in that sense. But the art was good. I agree. So who wrote? Was this Tim Seeley that wrote that? I think this is Tim Seeley, right? Yeah.
That's one of the reasons I kind of picked it up too.
Yeah, he's been doing some good work lately for sure. So, what'd you give this?
Yeah, I thought it was a good Deathstroke story, and I give it 3.75.
I'll go 3.5. I liked it. Just I don't know. I also felt like I needed more from this one. Well, I can't say that like compared to Batwoman. This did give you a lot at the end where I'm like, oh, I gotta find out what happens there. I don't know. It just I wasn't too enthused reading it. It was good. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm not a big Deathstroke guy for whatever reason. I never am super interested in his series, I find, but I'll give it another issue. Next up, we got Super Creep Show #1. Got the homage cover here, which is the Amazing Fantasy for Spider-Man homage with the creeper there, whatever the creep is flying through the air. Kind of funny. What does he say? Though the world may fear these terrifying tales, it will soon cheer at the amazing might of the creep. So yeah, and then I think the second issue is going to be a homage to the Todd McFarlane Batman cover with the cape. So. I like that they're doing that. I'll definitely pick up all those if they do one for every issue for sure. What'd you think of this?
Yeah, I thought this wasn't too bad. When I first saw them, I thought they're just going to be kind of ripping off or having parodies of Spider-Man, and I guess the second one was the Super Freak. But for the first story, it kind of just turned that whole story on its head, because it starts out, with the high school scene where, I guess our protagonist is, being bullied but he turns out he's not like some smart kid. He's just some stoner that hangs out in like some abandoned shed there. And he brings some girl in there and just basically just like with the narration is like, we don't have much to talk about, but she likes drugs and I like drugs. So, we kind of get along. And then a spider bites him. And then he's like, oh, I don't feel so good. I'll get out of here. Then it kind of just, the next few pages are him just kind of lounging around in bed. And it's all the narration goes, well, that's nothing really out of the ordinary. And he doesn't really get all these superpowers or something. And then I think he's, the first day he decides to get out of bed and kind of go see a doctor because he feels like he's constipated. And he runs into one of his bullies and then he just goes freaking bananas on him. And he just tears them apart. And then, of course, he just heads out to that shed, just to kind of, I don't know, just chill out there. He's kind of just cowering in a corner. And then, of course, his friend shows up and, she seems to be very open to what's going on. He's like, oh, get away, get away. And then he takes a bite out of her. But, she seems to be cool with everything. And then, she's like, oh, you just stay here and I'll help you out. And then, she comes back and I guess that bite infected her. And then she's like, oh, I think I got to stay here too, And then, of course, their biological or animalistic natures take over. And they have a bit of a romance, or I don't know what you want to call it. But I guess true to the spider's nature, maybe more like the Black Widow, she freaking rips them apart after they're done. And you think that's the end of the story. But then, of course, we have these guys that are looking for the spider. They show up and go, oh, look, the spider's dead. Thank God. And one guy's like, oh, lucky the spider's dead. And then the guy's like, oh, something's moving, rustling around in here. And then you just see her with whatever. Like, I think they mentioned there's 2,400 babies.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a nice twist of the story. And didn't kind of give me anything I expected. It turned everything on its head.
No, I thought the same thing you did. Like maybe that's why they were going to take inspiration from and just do like their own versions of. I mean, in a way, I guess they did. This is basically their Spider-Man story, if you will, right? But But yeah, Dunn they definitely took a different approach with this, which kind of just loosely kind of basing these stories on powers that you would see from known superhero properties instead of just like riffing on those characters themselves and kind of just doing like a horrific twist, right? So I guess in terms of like the copyright licensing type stuff, I guess they could only approach it that way. But they had and this story was written by Karen Gillan, Rossi Gifford on art. And the next story here is written by Ryan North, who is actually going to be writing the Flash soon for DC Comics, from what I understand. So this is kind of funny that they got him to do this, because this is like their version of a Flash story, essentially, right? Which was a lot of fun. And this one called Speed Freak, he's walking home with this girl after school, and he's talking about, what powers would you like? And he says it's got to be speed. That would be the best power. You can do anything with that. And then I don't know, it cuts to like him waking up, and he's got this ring that he was able to use to get speed powers all of a sudden. And then he just basically he goes around town and beats the shit out of all the bullies that bully him, and badly beats the shit out of them to near death. And then he gets stuck in like whatever the Speed Force, I guess, if you want to call it that, whatever that version of that is here. He gets stuck in this loop of not being able to ever slow down. And he starts terrorizing that girl, where he like constantly gets it in his head. He's like demented. He thinks he has to like protect her or something from like these bad guys. So he's like, he can't take the ring off. The ring like seeps into his hand. And then therefore he's stuck in this like this never ending loop. And again, I think Ryan North is again perfect for this kind of story. And I'm actually looking forward to. I just heard the other day, I think he's supposed to be writing the Flash soon. I'm actually really looking forward to checking that out if he's writing it, because I think the Flash is a science-based character. I think it makes perfect sense for him to be writing something like that. And this is just fun. And then he basically just ends up killing like everybody in the town, it seems like, at the end, like just speeding around and like leaving all these like demented notes for her on the walls, and she's like terrified of this guy at the end, and he's forever running around killing people like all around the world, it seems like, thinking that something's gonna come to like hurt her or something like that. So what do you think of that one?
Yeah, I do like how it went from him attacking like his bullies. Then it kind of moved on to just attacking people that didn't help him, as or that didn't care that he was being bullied. And then it just seemed to spiral from there. Pretty much everybody except that one girl. And the one thing I didn't like, especially since it's Ryan North, I thought he'd sign some sort of baloney excuse to how he got things and why he got stuck and stuff. Because generally that's what Ryan North just loves to do. But I guess in a half issue he doesn't have time for that. So, getting the Speed Force ring or whatever, just, placed under his pillow when he wakes up. That's kind of crazy.
No, I know, but I agree with you in terms of the page count. Also, I feel like we are going to get that in his Flash, right? So while this isn't like a preview of how he's going to approach that book, if I had to guess, it is kind of interesting that they still like he was able to do this little story. I felt like given that news, if he is going to be doing the Flash suit, I just thought it was cool. But you're right, he really didn't explain a lot. I don't know, it's kind of hard to kind of explain like everything about these half an issue stories that they got to do too, right? But I if I had to compare, I definitely think I enjoyed the first story better than the second, but I think they were still both pretty enjoyable. This is better than the one shot. I actually thought they did a one shot of Super Creep Show before this miniseries, because this is a 5-issue miniseries now. And I thought the one shot wasn't good. I talked about it on the show. I thought that was not successful. But this was much better, I think. Like, I
enjoyed both stories.
Yeah. Cover was cool. Yeah. What'd you give this?
Yeah, I give it a 3.75.
Same. Yeah. Next up, we got the conclusion of Kyle Stark's Devil on My Shoulder, number 4 here this week. What you think of this one?
Well, this one takes a bit of a turn here.
Yeah, a bit.
Like, I enjoyed the beginning there, where I guess, we have dog shit or whatever that girl's name is. And she's facing, the last guy, and there's a big mystery of who the 5th person is. And, I was looking forward to getting her, like her getting a revenge, because what they did to her was absolutely brutal.
Yeah.
And then it just took a twist there, that fifth person is just some demon that's been, or kind of prodding these kids, and it kind of goes into the history of why these kids did what they did. And, there was this demon, whatever, egging them on and giving them, pretty much granting them their wishes. And that's why all these, whatever, 4 kids became so successful in the short time after they did what they did to this girl. And then it goes into the history of the priest. Somehow he ran into a demon. He was able to see it, and that's why he went to join the church. And, he became some sort of like a demon hunter. And he's been, exorcising ghosts because he can see them. And then that's what he wants for her. And, like, just even this scene here, though, that you got up there where they let those, I don't know, whatever they are, out of the pit there. And basically he's trying to sick them on that girl there. And then she just kind of frees them. They all take off. But anyways, the story just goes off the rails there. The revenge that I was hoping for, I don't think she really got it. She ends up killing this demon. But, I was expecting some like John Wick type of revenge here or something. And then, the church, after that demon is killed, she basically just drowns the guy and then kicks him off into the water. So I guess she got some sort of closure there. But then she went back to the church, and it looks like she's going to be their new demon hunter. And, if this series does continue, I guess it'd be her being a demon hunter, which I don't know if I'm not interested in.
Yeah, she's going to be like an exorcist or something. It seems like a priest that's like an exorcist. Yeah, you bring up actually a good point about like how we thought this was going to pan out one way and it didn't. But that's actually what I really liked about this last issue, because in terms of the swerves, I did not see this stuff coming. I love the scene when he lets those prisoners out of the floor. Yeah. I was like, what the hell is going on here? Like,
reminds me of I don't know what was that movie, The Long Road or something, or I think it was like Viggo Mortensen.
Oh. I've never
seen
that.
It was like some kind of zombie type movie or some end of the world movie where there's a father walking with his kid down the long road, and then they get stuck in some basement, and it's just all these people that are just freaking been, out of touch for a long time. They just turn into monsters, and they look like them there. But it's crazy. So that was a crazy scene in that book.
Yeah,
out of the comic here.
This is like people that have been tortured there. That like he basically talks about like, giving them their freedom if one of them kills her, and they're all like, one of them's missing his jaw, and he's like, he said a sorry, sorry, like it was just really demented and weird and came out of nowhere. And I was kind of saying to myself, I'm like, how the hell is Kyle Stark gonna wrap all this up in this issue? So it had some unexpected good moments, I felt like, but you do bring up a good point of it. It kind of failed to meet my expectations in terms of how the story was going to go, but yet it still delivered in terms of it. Like, I did feel it was still a good, solid ending, and it was entertaining, and I did really enjoy it still. But you're right. I guess I didn't give it much thought as to how I previously felt the story was going to go. So I don't know. I don't know if that's a negative or a positive, because like, I think it's good that he kind of changed it up in a sense where it wasn't just what we thought it was going to be originally. But at the same time, it's like I would have much rather seen that. The whole demon, hence the name, I guess, the devil on my shoulder, the whole demon swerve is fine with me. I didn't mind that. I thought this whole scene where they're talking about like the guy slaying all the babies with a scythe, that was crazy too, that the priest tells about how he first came upon like the presence of evil and the demon and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I didn't think it was going to be this type of story. You're right. Like the way that they kind of started out, it went somewhere else, this miniseries, but I still enjoyed it. So you definitely gave me something to think about, like in that sense. Yeah, I still enjoyed it though.
I was more interested in the girl and her revenge. I'll give this 3.75.
I still am going to go 4. I still enjoyed it, but I would have given it more if it wasn't actually for you pointing that out, because I am a little disappointed. I would have rather them much more so focus on their revenge as well. That guy still got his though here, but I mean,
big deal.
Again, I do continue to be impressed by Kyle Starks, how different types of stories he can kind of, come out with here in the same week. He definitely has like his wheelhouse of things he enjoys, but again, all over the place in terms of stuff that he does these days. Planet She-Hulk, Chris, you got a couple here that you've read here this week.
Oh, yeah, I just read Planet She-Hulk online. I was interested to see what happened. I think in the last issue, I guess the heir apparent was murdered by, I guess, one of She-Hulk's friends. And this picks up after her battle with Jack of Hearts. I guess she got him to sort of expand all his energy and blow his load. So he was kind of wiped out. And then she was kind of feeling the effects of that. And then the Juno character that She-Hulk's been sort of sparring with in previous issues is basically out for blood now. And, she kind of explains, I think She-Hulk's asking, why are you doing this? Whoever you're working for, the Coven or whatever his name is, he's not going to, killing innocent people isn't going to bring peace. And then she's like, Sakaar isn't a world of peace. It's a world of the strong. And then she starts, kind of trying to give her the boots. And she also a little vulnerable, let's say. So she takes a bit of a beating. And then the leader of this Thousand Eyes gang that She-Hulk ran into before as an enemy kind of appears out of nowhere and basically offers She-Hulk a chance to escape or to save her. And she electrocutes She-Hulk. And, when She-Hulk does wake up, looks like she's in a bad place, all chained up. And this leader of Thousand Eyes kind of comes out. And, it looks like, some bad things are going to happen. But I don't know why they have her chained up, because she gets released right away. And then this Thousand Eyes leader reveals that she was one of the Hulk's inner circle when he was the leader of Sakaar. And, she just wanted to bring She-Hulk there so they could figure things out and kind of let her know exactly what's been going on. And I think she just basically tells She-Hulk, I think, Planet Sakaar or whatever needs a leader, and we want that leader be you. And of course, She-Hulk's, not too keen on this. And whatever, this that army that's attacks this base wherever they're hidden. And then She-Hulk, okay, she kind of hulks out. I guess she's feeling better, and she goes, you get that Thousand Eyes leader to clear the village. And then She-Hulk's going to go, okay, I'll take care of this army. She's like, oh, but you're by yourself. She goes, oh, don't worry, I'm a Hulk too. Hey, of course there, you'd hope for, at least some like splash pages with her, kicking the crap out of people. But I think it's like 3 long panels or something that it kind of just gets glossed right over. And then at the end, all those inner circle of Hulk kind of bow before She-Hulk and say, we want you to be the queen. And of course, she still doesn't want it, but that's where it ends off. So I know, I think it was a bit of a letdown, the story. Like I said, I think I've been talking about this before. It's more of that Game of Thrones type story. And I still just don't know who the players are. And I think this is going to be, I think they're rushing things too now that this is going to be sort of wiped or finished at 6 issues or something like that. So I give it a 3.5.
Okay. Next up, we got Cyclops number 2.
Yeah, Cyclops number 2. I don't know why I read this. He's what happened in the last one? His Quinjet got struck down by some Reavers that he just happened to be flying over. Not that they were targeting him or anything. And then in the accident, his visor breaks. And of course, these Reavers have a whole bunch of mutant kids that they're using to mine a mountain. And one of the kids, finds Scott there or whatever, Cyclops, and and then they have some sort of odd relationship where he thinks he's where he should be the boss, but of course he's blind and he can't do anything, and she's helping him out. I do like the scenes with the Reavers and this Thomas Price or whatever, the Reaver that did shoot down the Quinjet. I think they were in a Quinjet or something.
Yeah.
He's kind of getting punished. He's like, what the hell? I gave you all this stuff here. Don't you think shooting down a Quinjet's gonna, bring down unwanted attention? And then he loses one of his augments to, I guess, one of the other Reavers. And anyways, they end up fighting Cyclops, and I don't know, Cyclops kicks him over a balcony or over a cliff. And then one of the other Reavers kind of runs into that one there, and he takes his augment back. It's okay stuff, but I do like seeing kind of Cyclops, without a visor and blind, and it's it's just more on all his training and stuff like that. But do I really need to read this? I don't know. I'm glad I'm not buying it, but I'm happy to read it. I give it a 3.5.
All right. And then finally you got Starship Godzilla #6.
I think we got some battles going on here. I still don't know how Godzilla's in the fight here, but I think this starship finally turns into a Godzilla ship and starts fighting Godzilla, and whatever, this captain has some sort of secret plan, and she's going through this gem world and kind of disrupts the ground underneath them and just smashes everything. So I think of the early issues, the crew of this Starship Godzilla, they kind of sold out, and here they realize the wrong that they've been doing, and they're kind of fighting back against the powers that be. And there's some like Elsa Warren type chick there that's no, what are you doing? We're gonna hunt you till the end. I think at the end they find out that there's bounties on all the heads of the crew, so now they're not safe anywhere in the galaxy. But the art's great in this, the action, it's all over the place, the stories, it's entertaining, and it pulled me in, especially there's a bunch of characters that I had no interest really in reading or learning about, but I'm down for this all. Like,
the art is great. The art looks great. Every time I put the art together for the show, and you've been talking about it the last few issues, I'm like, this looks good.
I wish this was kind of just, the problem is this wouldn't be something that just shows up on my LCS. I think maybe the first one might have, and that's why it kind of got me to read it. I didn't buy it, but maybe I'll look into this. And I've enjoyed this whole series. I'd give this issue a 4.
Nice. I might have to check out the trade of this one. Looks good. I like me some Godzilla. And this looks very different for a Godzilla book.
Yeah,
for
there's
that
not
matter.
much Godzilla in there. It's like this space trooper or this space crew flying a Godzilla ship.
Yeah, exactly. That looks good. Next up, I got a few books here I read this week. This actually, I think, came out officially last week, but I just got around to reading it late, and I did want to mention it, if only this issue, we don't end up following up on this one on the show, because this is a Red Band issue. I read it digitally. Jessica Jones, alias Red Band #1. I really like Jessica Jones as a character. I was looking forward to this series. This is written by Sam Humphries, who's currently writing the new Avengers series that we thought was like a diamond in the rough type book in terms of like our enjoyment of it lately. It's been a lot of fun, and I mean, I don't want to speak for you too, Chris, but I honestly think that's a great book that not enough people are reading. And Sam Humphries kind of had stopped writing for a while, I feel like, but he used to be like a bigger name, at Marvel back years ago, and I think he's also worked for DC a bunch. I know he wrote a run of Harley Quinn years ago. Yeah, so like he's done some good stuff, but he's not like a writer I'd normally seek out. But he did the new Avengers series, and I saw his name on this, and I like Jessica Jones, so I'm like, okay, I'll check this out. And I gotta say, I really liked this. I thought this was good. I think it made good use of the Red Band in the sense that obviously there's some language in this one. Jessica Jones was on a mature line. It's the Marvel Max line that no longer exists, which was basically their adult line, like their Vertigo, I guess, but it was with Marvel characters mostly, except for Bendis. Bendis always used to put creator-owned stuff out through Icon, actually. But Bendis is the one that created this character and that wrote the original Jessica Jones Alias series, which is called Alias. Like this version of the character, like he created. Her as a private eye, and she has like her own like outfit essentially. And this was kind of like a return to kind of some aspects of that and some like older versions, so some older stories of Jessica Jones. But of course now things have changed for her. So in this series, you can see Typhoid Mary on the cover here. She's in this issue as well. In this issue, it shows her going back to her Alias investigations office, and she says that she's left that business behind about a month ago. You find out in the course of the issue that she lost her license to be a private investigator, that the city took it away from her, and because there's a lot of people looking into her recently because, of course, her husband, Luke Cage, is the mayor currently in Marvel continuity. So there's a lot of eyes on her. Luke was like, don't worry, we'll sort it out. But she ended up losing her license. And she's really pissed off at him and his involvement as mayor and how that's affected her life, and how like she goes around the city now with her kids. And like she says that, she has people in her face that dislike him being mayor, that have caused her problems, or her and the kids problems. And it's kind of, threw her whole life off course as a result. And in this issue, she has to go back to the office to get a toy of her daughter's, this specific toy that she left there. And she's like, I haven't been here in a month. And while she's there and she comes to pick up that toy, she sees that there's all this mail left by her neighbor's door. And she's like, this looks like it's a week old. That's odd. And then she sees some guy who's like a photographer for like, I don't know, like, an Inquirer or something, like basically one of these like TMZ type people or whatever, that's like taking pictures of her in the hallway. Like, what are you doing here? What are you investigating again? Like all this kind of stuff. And he's all up in her shit. And then she basically sees this bloody rat scurry into this a hole in the wall that's beside this apartment. She's like, okay, I got to look into this now. What the hell's going on with this person? She's nowhere to be seen. There's a bloody rat coming out of here. And she knocks down the door and she sees a murder scene. There's 2 people murdered that Lisa live in that apartment there, sprawled out on the bed, dead. And of course, the photographer catches her doing this, takes pictures of her. The next day, she's on the front page of the newspaper. And of course, it's like mayor's wife or whatever, like found with double homicide, illegally or something, investigating it. So she's in shit. It looks bad on Luke's, part. He's like, I'm going to have to clean this up now in the press. And then it kind of delves into them having a huge argument as a married couple, which again, is just something you don't really see in comics all that much. And again, I think that the fact this is Red Band and it's kind of like more mature, like he was able to write a really good scene of like a married couple fighting in this scene and kind of going off at one another. And she's like, I hate that you're this job. It's ruined everything for us. And you're not helping in the way that you could be if you were still like, Luke, like Power Man. And it's ruined my life. And I'm no longer an investigator. And he's like, you're not going to look into this anymore. I'm putting a stop to this. And she's like, okay, yeah, whatever. And she's like, I'm just going to do whatever the hell I'm going to do, like want to do. She should know that. So he leaves. She leaves. She ends up in a bar and Typhoid Mary walks in. Typhoid Mary, who's recently the Kingpin's husband, and she's insane. She shows up and she's like, hey, how's it going, Mary? And she sits at the bar with her and she's getting all chummy with her because they have a past. And she's like, oh, yeah, how's your husband? And he's like, oh, he's in a coma. And they reference Punisher Red Band #5 and how he got lit up in that issue, which I thought was kind of cool. And she's like, well, what are you going to do about these murders? This is in Hell's Kitchen. This is our neighborhood, too. And because that's where Jessica's Alias Investigations was. And that's why when Bendis used to do it, it was always tied together with Daredevil and all these other street level characters. So, and she shows her footage of this guy who supposedly could be the suspect, the killer that sends these rats after people and kills them, it seems like. So, and then she's like, yeah, fuck it. I'm on the case. You and me, Typhoid Mary and her are teaming up, and she's going against everything Luke Cage had asked her not to do. Good first issue. It ends with her in court with Daredevil as her lawyer, and she's being brought up on some charges, possibly of like her involvement in whatever went down here. So I guess that's kind of giving you a preview of maybe how this is going to wrap up or where it's headed. Solid first issue. He knows the character well. If you liked any of those old, especially the Bendis Jessica Jones series from the past, definitely check this out. I give this a 4.25 out of 5. Good stuff. And then End of Life #2. Again, this is Kyle Stark's second issue of this Vertigo series. Love the first issue. It was my favorite of the week. Again, this is another solid issue of this series. I really hope that you guys are checking this series out there because it's really, really great. And in this one, in the end of the last issue, we find out that this Hitman character we were introduced to, he's like in his, like, I don't know, shithole old town that he grew up with his father on the lam, running away from this group of hitmen that are after him now that he's a part of, but he deceived them on a job, not knowing that they were the people's house that he was robbing. And now he's basically trying to like hide out and wait for things to cool off or try to figure a way out of this situation. And it's him kind of catching up with like old folk, old townsfolk type people that obviously lead different lives. And you get like a lot of like moments with him and his father, and him seeing him react to the townspeople and how he's changed. Cause I guess he also used to be a hitman, or like used to be like dirty or up in some shit, and a bad father to boot growing up for this guy. So it's just really good character work stuff and really funny dialogue. And there's even some action here towards the end where he proves why he's such a, you can see him, how good of a hitman he actually is in this issue. When some guys try to screw, he kind of has to meet up with the guys that they stole that stuff from, so he can kind of get the stuff back and hopefully give it to these guys so he can get the bounty off his head. And they try to pull a fast one on him, and he ends up like killing them all. And at the end of the issue, he's like, oh man, I'm gonna be in so much shit now. And all of a sudden, like this guy with a big rooster head like is coming off like out of a car or off a bus or something, like you just see him walking up into the town, and it says next issue, big cock is coming. It's just like, I'm like, oh, Kyle Starks, I love this guy, man. It's just funny stuff. I guess this assassin wears a big rooster head, and his name's Big Cock, which is fucking hilarious. I love Kyle Starks. Again, just a very different book than the other book that we talked about this week. Also violent and maybe dark at times and stuff like that, but this is much funnier than the other book that we talked about, and is able to balance some like real life type stuff in it as well. I give this a 4.25 again this week. I love this series so far. Absolute Flash number 13. Not too much to say about this one. Another solid issue. This is also him basically now on the run after escaping the labs situation here, Star Labs or whatever that he was in last one. The rogues and him helped take down those people, and now this is him trying to kind of get his life together, not being, trying to find his father again, and trying to he meets up with some friends. He's kind of like back in school, it seems like, in this one. I guess he's trying to go on with his life here, or what's left of it, and trying to figure things out for himself and these powers and what his next move is here. And she kind of asks, this friend of his asks about what happened to Gorilla Grodd, like what like he's like, I don't know, I've lost him. And as we know from last issue, Chris, that you read, like, there's more to come with that, as he met up with his father, Grodd's father as well, the big Gorilla Grodd that we know. And this is kind of just like a catch-up issue to kind of see where we're at and where the character's headed next. So I give it a 3.75 out of 5. Solid issue. Looking forward to see what happens. Oh yeah, and then Mirror Master shows up at the end, and he traps him and this girl, his friend, inside of a mirror. So it looks like he's encountering some of the rogues that weren't good guys that helped him out at the start of this series. This was somebody, I don't think, out of the rogues that was there originally. So Mirror Master now is it's got them trapped, it looks like. All right, Chris. Invincible Universe Battle Beast number 7.
I think I just got the A cover. I wanted to get that Todd McFarlane cover, but nice.
I got both.
Well, that's when you heard, I guess, they're back, I guess, from taking a little bit of a break. And looks like they're in a happier place. That Prince, he seems to be recovering from whatever ailed him, and the ship's AI it's got a face, it's got a name. They seem to be a good spot, and I think where we left off, Battle Beast and the Juggernaut pretty much just finished their battle, where I guess the Juggernaut just kind of smacked Battle Beast, miles away or whatever, just to kind of heal up a bit. And she's back in the castle, talking to, I don't know what the race of people are, but they seem to be having enough of her, and she was looking for more sacrifices to feed her strength. And one of them stands up to her and starts kind of putting some spells on her, and he thinks he's winning. And I guess the wind comes out of that sail pretty quickly. And then we get Battle Beast. He's sort of kind of licking his wounds. And the Prince, they all meet up, and Battle Beast is almost saying, I think this fight's not worth. There's no point in this fight. I'm gonna win it, no problem. And he seems pretty confident, almost to the point where I think I'm gonna leave. We got to find another fight. This isn't strong enough for me. But lo and behold, the Juggernaut's brother shows up, and I guess if one of them gave him a bit of trouble, I imagine two would be worse. And there also is a scene, I guess, with I forget what they're called, but they're like Superman type characters.
Viltrumites.
The Viltrumites, yeah, it looks like they might be in the mix too there somehow. So a lot of good things going on. It wasn't my favorite issue, but I'm still enjoying this one.
Oh man, I love this issue. I love that this book is back. I love the Ryan Ottley art. A lot of funny things happening on the go here. The story's progressing. I love the fact that they kind of caught up with a Viltrumite character that's in the background of things that are happening right now, transpiring. More on that later. I thought the part that they opened up with was absolutely hilarious, where he's like, "Gadzooks, my penis is back," because his lower body was still kind of growing back. The king there, the prince, sorry. And you look at it and it looks like a snail. Like it looks like his dick and balls look like a snail or something, like the way it looks. And he's like, check out this chunky butt. He's like grabbing his fat ass. So I was like, what's going on here? So we didn't really get a lot of Battle Beast in this one. He's just miserable and pissed off in this issue and kind of silent for the most part. He's giving everybody the silent treatment. And it's just still like a weird thing going on with this character. Like you could tell he's pissed off, but he's more pissed off that he lost the fight, not this whole bullshit that he tries to sell everybody on, like he wants to get killed. I think it's just because, like, you know, he got the shit beaten out of him for one, so he's kind of like, what the hell, right? And he's like, you know, so now he just, you know, the fact that more of these monsters are showing up there for him to go and fight again, like, I can't wait. And I can't imagine what's going to happen with this Invincible villain. I forgot this guy's name. He was in the original Invincible series, this Viltrumite, but they're extremely strong, these guys. So like that's going to be even worse. This is like going to be like the next arc, I feel like, when this guy shows up, right? Because I think that's why Kirkman's just kind of throwing him in the mix now, because by the time he beats these things, this guy's going to show up. That'll be like the final boss type of thing, right? So good stuff. I'm just happy this book is back. You know, you're right. This probably wasn't the strongest issue in comparison to the others we've had of this series, but I'm just happy that the book is back. So I can't hide my my happiness. What'd you give this?
I'll give it a 4. It's good stuff.
I'll give it 4.25. Love me some Battle Beast. All right. Exquisite Corpses 11.
Oh, this is where stuff's hitting the fan here now.
Nice.
Got my issue here. And I guess we're down to the nitty gritty. Who's that rabbit guy? He was crazy in this issue here too, and I can't believe he died. Like, I thought he's been dead so many times, and even though it was pretty final the way he died, with I think one of the guys just kind of kick him out of through a window, and he lands on a spike through his chest. I thought they'd have a scene where, you know, he goes back to look and then the body's gone, but it seems that he's dead, and that's too bad. Yeah, I like that character.
Same here. R.I.P. Rascally Randy, right? I think that's his name, Rascal Randy. I honestly thought he was going to make it to the end, this guy, so I'm really surprised about that. But someone had to go, right? So Rascal Randy, that was his name. Yeah.
And then the stuff that's going on in the town, that's all interesting stuff. I do enjoy that inner circle with they're kind of all playing, you know, their parts there, and you know, the people that are winning are cheering, and the kind of the losers are all plotting to see what they can do to kind of turn things around. So that's fun there. But who's the two left? We have the Fox Mask Killer, and
Pretty Boy,
and he's wearing a mask or something, right?
Yeah,
and like, wasn't there was 4 left in the beginning, because wasn't there the one with the sister?
Yeah, so Lady Carolina, who was basically the other person that's left, also gets killed this issue, and she was the one that was basically, the old woman was working with her sister outside on the outside as part of those families, and she was gonna win for that family, Like she was kind of weaseled her way in to kind of still have a chance in this game, right? So she had told her where there was like a whole bunch of weapons and all this stuff, and then she gets taken out here. So like that lady, the sister, they have no chance now to win the game, either of these people, right? So that was, they kind of ruined the whole plan that they were cooking up, it seems like, the last couple of issues, right?
What I don't get is with this pretty boy guy, when they're the guys at the bus, and basically the whole town is there, and then he just starts swinging that axe wildly. I think that town could have taken him out. Like, he didn't have a gun or anything, but yeah, I guess once somebody starts swinging an axe and chopping people's heads off, people just scatter. So I guess that does track. And that's when that lady Carolina took her opportunity to try and get the cash, and that guy and that kid's mother.
Oh yeah,
basically ends up putting the.
She's the one that kills her. She's the one that kills her.
Yeah. Through her eyes, like right in front of her son, though.
Yeah.
Just everything that happens here is it's just crazy stuff. You think, okay, oh, he's killed her, great. What a triumphant event. And then she looks up and Mom, what are you doing? It's like, oh, what do you mean?
Yeah. I guess.
Go on.
I was just gonna say, I guess as like readers, or at least I didn't realize that the town themselves are actually going to have to step up in terms, like, that's like an unknown, quantity of this game, is that the people could get involved in the game too as a result of them being preyed upon, this town, right? So it really took some of them in order to step up to kind of really change the outcome of what happened here with these people, which was a surprise. I did not see that coming, that they were going to be such a big part of the story, to the point where they actually are going to be taking out some of the killers by the end, right? So that was crazy.
Yeah, and then it ends up with the fox mask killer, and Pretty Boy just basically facing off, and I'm ready for more.
Yeah, I mean, after talking about it here, I did really enjoy this as well. I didn't go into this conversation thinking I wasn't gonna say I didn't like it, but I almost was underwhelmed, because I expect such big things with this being the second last issue of this arc, of this 12 issue, maxi series here. That I don't want to say I was disappointed, but I would have, I could have taken 20 more pages of this. You know what I mean? Like I just really was expecting big things with this being the second last issue. And we did get some big moments. There was a couple of players taken off the board. So what really else could you have done at this point? I think they delivered in that respect. Yeah, you're right. It was a good, solid issue. I can't wait to the end, and I just know there's going to be more. I mean, of course there's going to be more of this series. Like, there's no way. They probably will take a break and come back and hit us with another 12.
Well, I say every 5 years. If they do it every 5 years, I hope I don't have to wait 5 years for this.
I agree.
I'll give this a 4.25. I like this one.
Yeah, you talked me into it as well. I got to bump it up, bump those numbers up. 4.25. All right, G.I. Joe number 20.
Well, that's a cover there with freaking Duke meeting Optimus Prime. I was ready for some big stuff here. And, G.I. Joe has been delivering lately, but.
Chris, Optimus, please. Not Optimus.
Oh, sorry.
Don't forget.
My bad. I forgot.
I'm no longer Prime.
We can dress down.
It is Prime on the cover, though. You're right. The cover got, they must have not gotten the note about the fact that he's no longer Optimus Prime. But God, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, but I was expecting fireworks here, everything to be going on. But basically, it's just the meeting of the minds. And it seems that Optimus and Duke are basically on the same page. And, they're just sitting in a field kind of talking about the horrors of war and what it is to be a soldier and a leader. So it wasn't bad per se, but I thought this was going to be, I was expecting some sort of fireworks, which I guess I might have been mad about that. It's always those, whenever the two heroes meet, they end up fighting before they find the common ground. Here, cooler heads prevailed. They talked it out. It makes for a proper story, but doesn't make for a great comic. But I do enjoy everything that's going on here, and I do like how Hound was given the choice to either kind of follow up with the Autobots that are left, or stay with the Joes, and he decides to stay with the Joes. And there's a lot of other good things too. I think Scarlett's back in the mix. They mentioned her there. The nice seeing Snow Job and CoverGirl. And I think it was Snow Job and CoverGirl out there. So there's a lot of characters. They're touching on a few. I'm wondering what's going on with Baroness. She hasn't been really featured lately either. But I guess they got to take their time with everybody.
Yeah. No, despite all that, I get what you're saying, but I did like this whole, heart to heart that these two shared. I thought it was so random. Again, this is not even Optimus Prime. This is Optimus now. So he's more connected with his feelings now, Chris. So he goes and sits on the mountaintop there with him on that hill. It's so weird. Like when they go to have that heart to heart and he goes and talks to him. The funniest part though is when the Joe and the Autobot are at the side and they're like, yeah, he's probably talking about, his war and honor. That honestly was just inspired writing by Joshua Williamson. The fact that they're making fun of the fact that they know that these guys are going to be talking about those themes, honor and war and how they are like, and that is literally what they were talking about. So that was funny. And then as they turned around to come back, they're like, oh, shh, quiet, they're coming back. They're like, oh, hey, how's it going? I dug that a lot. That was a really funny moment, I thought. And I also liked how he's like, I know you're no longer the leader anymore, but do you mind like doing it one more time? And he says, G.I. Joe, roll out instead. And they get in the cars. And so there's some good moments there. And obviously, they got some more interesting things cooking on the horizon here with the
definitely not a bad comic, but I don't know. I didn't know what to expect there, but it was enjoyable.
What'd you give it?
I give it a 4.
Yeah, I'd also give it a 4 out of 5. Powers 25, number 7.
Ooh. I don't know this one. I thought this was kind of picking up its pace in the last issue. When everything's starting to come together, and freaking now it seems everything's falling apart again. And they introduce a whole bunch of new characters. That witch or whatever that's in their house. I guess her friend shows up, and then the way they use the word powers. Either being a last name or if you're a superpowered person, is your last name Powers automatically or something? That gets a bit confusing.
Yeah.
And, with the release of the Legacy Star guy, there's a lot going on here. So maybe this is just, more exposition than actual, action, let's say. So once again, not my favorite issue, but it is a story that's moving along. And once you thought the mystery was almost solved, it seems there's more questions again.
Yeah, so now it seems like the guy that they had, they were questioning last issue that runs this company is no longer a suspect. They kind of deemed that he is not responsible, yet he isn't, but yet he is still an asshole, and he is trying to actively embarrass this police force, especially now that he's pissed off that he was kind of brought in as a suspect. And also they're saying because he's so vain that he's also pissed off that he can't figure out who the killer is himself. And they definitely stole whatever this power is from this person that he had on ice in his facility in order to commit this murder. So that's why he was the main suspect in the first place. But now they're kind of moving on. And then these two meet up, like the new trainee guy and Dina Pilgrim. They meet up with this group of other people that live in his building. There's also a funny part where Dina Pilgrim's like, oh, you hooked up with this one too.
I live in the building.
What? I live in the building. Yeah. But they meet up with all these other people that, although they have superpowers, aren't identifying with the powers, whole way of, they don't want to be known as powers in the sense that all the powers before them were bad people. So in their eyes, they're like, we don't even want to be seen as that. So we're not really gonna say we're a powers, even though we all are, and we don't subscribe to that way of living or the way these people were, and they're all horrible people and all this other shit. So, that whole business, like you said, it's kind of really spinning its wheels, this issue, and kind of recalibrating, and kind of now we're like, okay, now we got to find a new suspect now. And then I guess that at the end of the issue, the big surprise thing was this other new trainee person that was along with the other character who is a powers that was with Dina Pilgrim. the guy. She goes to this guy's company at the end and basically says she's ready to throw in with him and step away from Powers, the police force completely. So I don't know. I guess we'll see where that goes. But I mean, I don't know if that's like her trying to get closer to this guy or if she has some ulterior motives or what the deal is there, because that kind of came out of nowhere. But
yeah, like I don't know if that's supposed to be a big deal. Maybe if I had more history of the Powers comic, it'd be like more shocking, but it just kind of went over my head. So
she's new though. Like that character's new. Like her and that other guy who's a Powers that's with Dina. These are like new characters, like for this series. So yeah, but you're right. Like the way this series works, if you had more experience with it, yeah, this kind of seems to be like how it goes with these stories with him,
yeah.
right? I mean, it's complicated because he's meshing not only superheroes but also a mystery of a detective story of a cop story. So like it's two genres that really don't go together like that, right? So it's interesting to see him kind of work things out. But I will say sometimes Bendis sometimes leaves things to be desired in terms of the plot or kind of working out the storylines a little bit, right? So anyways, what'd you give this?
Yeah, I'll give it a 3.5.
I'll go 3.75. Batman Superman World's Finest 49.
Yeah, that was one of the earlier ones I read. I've been enjoying this story. I thought the art was decent. I don't think it's Dan Mora, but I do enjoy this world that they're stuck on right now.
Earth 3, right?
Yeah,
Earth 3, I think, yeah.
I've read some stuff with Earth 3 before, and I never found it to be this fun or this interesting, let's say. It seems that all the villains are now sort of heroes. It's almost like a reverse world, and who's that comes to save them? The Riddler or something?
Yeah, all the bad guys are good guys on this world, it seems like.
Yeah, so the Riddler basically picks them, pulls them out of the cage and, releases them and, takes them, I guess, back to their lair or to their hideout, whatever. And then there's a whole bunch of other villains that are heroes now. And they come up with a plan on how to get whatever Omni-Man. Is it Omni-Man and Owlman?
Yeah.
Yeah, how to get them. And basically, there's a big confrontation. And they have a plan as afoot, and I think it works out. So it's good stuff. This is a crazy. I wish this was a longer arc, but I've enjoyed this story altogether.
Actually, no, Omni-Man's the guy from Invincible. I just thought about that. Ultraman. Yeah, when you said that, yeah, they're all versions of Superman essentially, yeah. Right? Even Omni-Man for that matter.
It seems that Superman's not so strong in this world too, because I guess the sun there isn't the same one.
Right. The only thing that sucked about this is that we both really enjoyed the last issue. The last issue may have even been your favorite of the week, may have been in contention for mine. I remember it was really great. Yeah. And this was good too, but they had to wrap this story up here because the next issue is issue 50, and they're doing this like, whatever, like one of those big probably anniversary issues. And, this series isn't known for doing long arcs, but I honestly could have went for another issue or two of this. I was really enjoying this story. And like you said, this world and these characters, right? So I hope they revisit this at some point because I
think they did hint at it at the end, because didn't they want to, we got to come back and help you guys. So who knows? Maybe they got something going on there.
They also did introduce the fact that Riddler now and them are going to be tracking down Swamp Thing, who's also a bad person. It looks like he says there's somebody terrorizing the swamp.
Yeah, that's it too. Like they set the seeds for another story, but it's all gone. Who knows?
Yeah. So hopefully they do revisit it because I really like this story too. I thought it was solid. And, I like the fact that the Riddler talked about how he got dropped in a vat of acid in this world, too. He's just like, Batman just straight up is just like so blunt. He's like, why are you disfigured? And he's like, well, your version of you in this world dropped me in a vat of acid. He's like, oh, dear God.
That is funny, too, that it is Owlman that's done this to it. And that's basically Bruce and Clark. It's like, this is what you do to us here.
I just like that, at least he didn't try to justify whatever happened to him. He's just like, oh, my God.
Holy smokes.
What'd you give this?
I'll give it a 4.25. I did enjoy this one.
I'll go 4 out of 5 on this. It was great. These last two issues, you can honestly just pick these last two issues up. You don't need to have read this series at all. It's a solid story you'll get from these 48 and 49. Wonder Woman 31.
I think I got a David Nakayama cover with the matriarch there.
Oh, I never even seen that cover. I might have to seek that out. That's a nice one. Nice.
Keep your ear to the ground.
Hey, Chris, where's your Rick Farland Battle Beast again?
Yeah, I ordered it. I just didn't get it. My ear was on the ground. First I told I wasn't listening. But anyway, that's besides the point. But anyways, we got the new arc here. Wonder War. Was it Daniel Sempre's back? Tom King is back. And, one of the worst things is there's a lot to be desired in this comic. There's a lot of stuff. This narration of one story while in the panels and the art, another story is going on. I hated when he did it before. I hate it when he's doing it now. This baloney with the matriarch and Lizzie, of course, they're childhood friends on the island of Themyscira, and they grew up together. But now one seems to be fully grown, and the other one's still somehow like a teenager. I didn't enjoy that part. I did enjoy that it's a Wonder Woman comic, and basically the whole comic was the Trinity or the new Trinity. I don't like this world that they're in and how it's just glossed over that the matriarch seemed to have killed every hero in the world, and they kind of just referenced that. I maybe in one of the Wonder Woman annuals. But once you get out of that stuff, what's going on here isn't terrible. And it seems that Trinity sacrifices both Superman and Damian to get a shot at a sword or something like that. And I do like Lex Luthor there, even though, he might even be a good guy in this story because he's basically being forced to submit to the matriarch there. And that's not really his MO. He's not all about that. So he may be like a secret ally sooner or later. And then the swerve is basically at the end is that Wonder Woman is pulling the strings and part of this planning. So I think the art was great. The story's decent, but there's a lot of things that, despite those things I don't like, I think this story's still held up.
The art is great. There's still interesting things transpiring in terms of the story, but the setup and the execution is baloney. Like you said, they have a lot they can do here. And the way that Tom King is choosing to approach the storyline and the way that he's going about it, I'm not for. I know it's kind of his style of writing, of doing stuff. Sometimes it works better than others, and sometimes he chooses to do it differently. I just I just think when you got all these good things going for you, new interesting character, great artists on board, we shouldn't spend half the issue with like these scenes of them as kids and this other stuff that's building up and 3 different timelines or whatever the law, and this is why I think his stuff reads better in trade, quite frankly, and this is why I dropped it in issues. It's good. I know it's good. It's just that it's hard to sit here and kind of take this in every month and
I'm afraid that this Wonder War is going to turn out to be another 20-issue epic, like his first arc, where half of it's baloney.
Yeah. No, I know. And I think, again, like all the pieces are here, like for a great run, for a good story. Like it's all here. It's just that it's the way that he's kind of, choosing to go about things that's disappointing a little bit, because again, this last page, I was like, oh yeah, great. Like, look at this, right? Like, so like, I will see how it plays out. I could be, shitting on this first issue, and then the next one I'd be like, wow, this is amazing. Right. So I just don't know. I don't know what to make of this at this time. Cause like, it took 20 issues or something for us to get to this point, or, like of that last story. Right. So, anyways, what'd you give this?
I'll give it a 3.75. I've been burned before. I enjoyed that first arc. I was ready guns to go for everything. And then boom, stretched out, boom, stretched out. So he's got to pick up his pace here to get me on board. I'm on board, but he's got to pick up the pace to get me to enjoy it.
Yeah, I hear you. I agree. Same thoughts as you have here, but I'm going to go a little bit lower. I'll go 3.5 out of 5 on this one. But yeah, it could be a sliding scale depending on where they go next issue. I might be like, I don't know, I'm out. We'll see. All right. Next up, we got Captain America #8. Can I just say, Chris, and you may have the same opinion, but I got to get this out. I've been waiting to say this all episode, honestly, in particular about this issue. I was griping about this the other day to my friend, even prior to us recording here. This is terrible art. This is terrible art on this issue. I felt like, I
don't know about terrible.
I didn't like it. I didn't like this at all. This is. I think this was not great art for this issue. This Jan Baldazua, like, I just think like this is it's disappointing.
I think it's still done on a computer or something. I think it's missing the line strokes. The shading is done with that, that airbrush or whatever.
Probably, because you're right. It's very light. Like, it's very light, the lines. Like, there is no, like, I think you're right. Maybe
it's all the airbrush strokes on that, I guess you get in whatever whatever these professionals use. It makes it easy to do, but it just lacks that human touch, like I sometimes like those shadow lines where it's like a hard shadow line, with a crazy cut. Like, you don't even know why that crazy cut is there, but somehow it makes sense. And I think you miss a lot of that here. But I've seen worse art.
Okay. I really disliked it. I really disliked it. But anyways, go on. I just wanted to point out.
For the story here, once again, they got to address somehow how this Captain America is here in this continuity, and it's going to being affect. Like, this isn't just like sort of a one-off story with Captain America by himself. He's back in the real world now, but he's the Captain America that was, thought out 20 years ago, not in the 60s, or not in the 80s. He was thought out like the 2000s, and somehow nobody seems to know about that in here. But anyways, outside of that, I do like the stuff with whatever the Red Hulk. He's getting freaking kind of torn down by the US government. He's kind of going rogue, and it does seem to be for the proper reasons, but I guess the government's kind of tied up by bureaucracy or something. Maybe can't go in there. These are all UN decisions now. And I've never known a time when the UN was so powerful, but I guess in this world it is. And most of this stuff, most of the time here with Captain America is him on his own. He's with Alina Von Doom, and he's trying to explain what's going on. And then she meets up with those two other people that Captain America wasn't too pleased with. And they're on some mission to find a list of all of Doom's safe houses. And while they're, I guess, in that compound, with Captain America sort of gets blown up and he lands in some pit, and it's basically just a mass grave. And then Alina Von Doom or those other two Latvian freedom fighters basically say, we're sorry we tricked you. This wasn't a list of safe house caches. This was a list of, victims or dissidents of people that, I guess, the other ruling faction has been killing lately. And and with Captain America seeing this massive pit, he kind of goes off the rails a bit. So it's okay stuff.
I'm liking how the story is developing. There's a lot of interesting stuff happening. There's a lot of potential to this type of storyline that are going on here. And I'm interested to see how this all plays out. I mean, that's all I can say at this point. Again, I was really bugged by the art on this. Obviously I was more bugged about it than you. I just think there was some really great scenes in this. And I think if you got like a top tier artist on this, we've had this is issue 8. I feel like issue 7 was a different artist. Issue 8, now we have a different artist. Like, I feel like since the first arc, we haven't had a consistent artist within the last 3 issues on this. And I just think that he's getting screwed over here in terms of a good artist on this book, because
Marco Cicchetto, don't him and Chip have a bit of a rapport?
They do. Yeah, sure.
He's not doing anything now in Marvel, isn't he?
Unless he's working on something that we're waiting on. I mistakenly thought he was part of that Weapons of Armageddon, but he's not. So I don't know what he's got cooking here, unless they got something that he's drawing right now. This was a crazy scene, though. I mean, again, landing in a pit full of dead bodies, I could see why he went off the rails there at the end. And I just think like that was such a powerful and great scene. that I just felt like we could have got a better artist on this issue. So, you know, I will say, like, the fighting, like when they did the 9 panels grid stuff here, and you know, there was some stuff that looked all right, but then so many other panels that were just like doodles, honestly, I felt like, and like you said, very lightly inked or whatever the hell was going on there. I just didn't dig it. But yeah, decent issue. I'm interested to see where this goes. And yeah, I think I really have high hopes for this and whatever Zdarsky's got planned for the summer, as we've been talking about. What'd you give this?
I give it a 3.75.
I go 3.25 on this because of the art. Infernal Hulk because of the art, not because of the book. I didn't like the artist. Infernal Hulk number 5.
Now, this is a series that is picking up. And, you know, once what do we have? The Avengers basically kind of just talking about how, you know, they couldn't get Bruce Banner to join them, or they couldn't. I guess they're under the impression that even though Bruce said he's not the Hulk, they think the Hulk is in him somehow. And, you know, anyways, they're out to confront whatever the Infernal Hulk on their own. And as they're about to sort of intercept something, you know, like a big freaking bolt of lightning or whatever it is comes out. And basically it reveals itself to be the one above all. And this is supposed to be like the top tier power in the Marvel universe, if I'm not mistaken. And, you know, so I thought, you know, that is crazy that this is showing up here. That is just even in the comic, you know, I think that's usually a character saved for, you know, to retcon the end of like, you know, series wide events. But, you know, lo and behold, there he is. And, you know, they're kind of scrapping it out. And it turns out it's not the one above all. It's basically just an avatar or a emissary of the one above all. And he gets his ass kicked. And this Hulk is, I guess, this elder demon soul or whatever with the power of the Hulk is a little bit more to handle than this one above all thought. And then we get the story of what's going on in the town with with whatever that lady's son that got pretty much vaporized by the Infernal Hulk there, and they're having a funeral. Bruce is still basically trying to stay out of things. You know, Betty's trying to convince him, you know, hey, you know, we can't just sit idly by while this is happening. And I think they go to talk to that soldier's mother, and basically that soldier has come back as a zombie or a demon or something, and is attacking the mother. And I think they just kind of light him on fire. But the big takeaway is at the end of this, Bruce basically says, okay, I can't sit by the sidelines anymore. And what that means, I don't know. Like, does he have the Hulk inside him, or has he been separated from the Hulk? Who knows? But that's crazy. And I think the Avengers here, they think they have a weapon now. I guess when that one above all was banished or beaten, it did have a sword that was kind of just sticking in the sand. And it looks like Iron Man might be picking that up they're going to be going up against that Infernal Hulk, whether they like it or not. So it's great stuff going on here.
Yeah, I love this series. This is great. I mean, Nick Klein wasn't the artist on this one. Kev Walker who's been sharing the art duties with Nick Klein so far. He's done a few pages and some of the other issues. I thought he did a great job on this issue. I think between the two of them, they've been doing a great job. It's just, in terms of art, it's one of the best looking books I think Marvel's been putting out lately. Also, the story is super interesting. They're doing big things. Crazy stuff is happening. And I think the part that gets overshadowed the most, even though it is a big part of the storyline so far, is the fact that this guy just can't find peace. Like, no matter, I felt so bad when he's like to Betty, like he's trying to say, like, I can't, like, do we not deserve, like, to not?
Yeah, I think that there's that one line goes, we've tried so long for this. How can you not want this?
Right. And that the fact that it's causing so much issues between them, to the point where it's literal hell on earth around them. Like, he's like, I'm not getting involved.
Yeah, that's it. Everything's okay.
It took,
I gotta go teach my class tomorrow or whatever he's doing, and that's it.
It took that stuff to come to their doorstep, for God's sakes, for them to be like, okay, I gotta do something now. Like, I honestly though, I think that's such a great angle for this storyline that this guy's been through so much. He's like, I don't want to deal with this anymore,
Yeah.
right? Like I really, I don't know, I can really relate to what's going on with that. It's great. It's great stuff. Yeah, really good story so far. I hope he keeps it up. I might have to revisit the series that we abandoned earlier because I think if this is I mean, it may not be as good as this storyline that he's doing, but I'd be interested to see how we got to this point, honestly, like with all that that Southern Swamp business.
I don't really care. I'm just happy where things are now.
Yeah, that's true too. What'd you give this?
I give it 4.25. I thought it was great when I was reading this.
Yeah, 4.25 out of 5. I agree. The Mortal Thor number 8.
Yeah, I know what the heck this one was about. This was like a more of an Asgardian tale. You know, I think when you read the first page, they have a little poem about how an arrow that flies and when it lies, whatever. And, you know, that seemed to be the whole gist of the story. The Enchantress there, she's with Athena. I don't know how she ends up there, but then I think somebody else. And she basically asked for a bow. And, you know, it's kind of nice to hear all like the myth behind the bow and the price of using the bow. And the price isn't that, you know, it's not magic. It's not your soul. It's nothing. It's just the only thing is that once you release that bow, there's no turning back. Once that decision is made, there's no undoing that decision. And it takes forever for this bow to find its target. And, you know, like I didn't even know there was a kid Thor out there, or Thor had a kid. And I guess he's out there, you know, running his adventures. And and he's got his Jack Rabbit friend. I don't know what the heck that is either. Like I don't know where this came from.
Chris, is that his kid or is it his brother, another kid of Odin?
I was under the impression that this was Thor's kid.
Okay, I couldn't. Again, I was very confused by this. This is the case.
Seems like it's a kid between Thor and Enchantress.
Okay. Well, she's been in the story, so that makes sense. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and then basically, well, I guess then they go in the history of whatever the Frost people, and I guess there's a freaking fire people, and you know whatever, and the kid Thor, he's doing whatever his adventure is, and while he's doing that arrow has been kind of flying through all the realms, and then the arrow hits his Jack Rabbit friend. Big deal. Like, you know, I don't think this Jack Rabbit friend has been referenced before. I've never even heard the kid Thor being referenced before. So, you know, him dying, you know, wasn't like a big shocking event. And then basically, I think Enchantress says, you know, or the people that gave him the arrow was like, hey, what are you doing? What did you kill that nobody kid for? Like, I imagine she could have magicked a way for that kid to die and didn't have to use this magic arrow. But so she did. And then I guess she feels that, you know, now that Thor has felt this pain, she can kind of step in to control him. And it seems that Thor is dead somehow, and this kid is next in line to the throne. And then she plans to use her influence over him to be the all mother, I guess. Yeah, another Game of Thrones type of story. But I was more interested in what's going on with Bungee Cord Hammer Thor in the real world.
Yeah, same. This was a huge departure from that storyline, which I was previously on the fence about already. And then it kind of every other issue, there was some interesting stuff going on. And this is definitely, I think, a case of like this is another series like Hulk that Al Ewing was doing previous to a relaunch, where I feel like you had to have read whatever the hell was going on prior to this, or this is something new he's introducing here which just got me confused. But I'm going to chalk it up to things happen in the previous series that I think are playing into this. And maybe this is why I don't know what the hell's going on. But this just took me for a ride, this issue. And I don't know. I mean, you know, as a story, it was fine. It was well written, whatever. Yeah. But it was just like
it was an okay story, but out of the blue.
Yeah, I don't know the context of like who this character is, and I didn't know that Enchantress thing, and I don't know like any like half of these people that the rabbit. I don't know who these people are, right? So I was just like, okay. Anyways, but I wish they got back to the other story. Hopefully they do next issue. What'd you give this?
No, it wasn't a bad story. I'll give it 3.5, but just not what I was expecting out of a 4 comic.
Same. I'll give it 3.5. It wasn't bad. Wade Wilson, Deadpool #2.
This one, I don't know what you thought about the art here, but this was basically just a bunch of panels every once in a while with Deadpool and some cool poses. I can't complain about any of that. I thought that was great. Like I like that one where he's busting into the front of the subway where he's upside down.
Yes.
I think he's like on that scooter scooting around. But whatever's going on here, somebody's dropping him off letters with I guess some future events that are about to take place, and he's just basically following along. And now he's learned a way to sort of monetize them. And then the last letter that he gets is basically to kill one of Hammerhead's henchmen, or just that one of Hammerhead's henchmen is going to die. And I imagine when Hammerhead was there at the cafe, it was probably to kill that henchman. So now the person that I guess he might have been killing, he might be saving. So it's kind of just some funny time travel business or future prediction business that's going on. But it's an okay story. It's not like funny haha, but it's there's a lot of good lines in here, and I think it's good stuff.
Yeah, I'm enjoying this. I mean, I think a little bit of Deadpool goes a long way. I don't like to read that many Deadpool comics, and it could definitely become overkill in terms of, like you said, how they balance the humor with the action. But between that and the good art in this one, again, this is I really think Benjamin Percy has honed in on what he does well in terms of the characters that he writes, and I think that this is another solid book that he's writing. Like he's doing this, he's doing Punisher right now. Like I think these are vehicles for this guy. Like these are perfect stories and characters for him to write. Is that you need a little bit of action and not so much dialogue and plot driven stories. You know what I mean? Like I think that's like where he excels, and I think he's he knows what he's good at here. I think he's becoming a better writer. I think was what we're seeing from him at Marvel. I'll say that, and then next week something will come out and I'll shit all over it though. So you never know. What'd you give this?
I'm just happy to read a good Deadpool story that's not like super crazy or over the top or anything. I give it a 3.75.
Yeah, same. Good stuff. Yeah, great panel layouts. This one, X-Men 27.
Yeah, I did read this one online. I've been on and off about this book. This one, it was an okay book, but once again, the best parts of this book wasn't the X-Men.
Yeah.
Best part was this. Things I don't like, I'll start out there. Why are they calling this team Danger Room? Like, when you're reading all the solicitations, all this stuff, Danger Room is back. Like, you can't call them Danger Room when the Danger Room already has like such a connotation, especially when referenced with the X-Men. You think it has something to do with like the mansion, and the Danger Room had its sentience, and you think it's back again trying to get them. But whatever, this Beyond Corporation, whatever her name is, she's basically putting it together a team to take out the X-Men. And where she finds these people, I do like it that it's not like a freaking superpower team. It's just some smart people that like to fuck shit up, and she's kind of just pointing them in the right direction. I like those two guys that may or may not be Skrulls.
Yeah, Skrulls. Yeah,
I like them. I like this team that you put together. I'm not happy that it's Beyond Corporation. I think it could be somebody else because, from what I remember from the Beyond Corporation was in the Spider-Man books, and it didn't seem like I felt that there was some like all-powerful corporation. But it looks like here they're back in business where, I think wasn't it that just Dr. Doom basically took them out in that Spider-Man run. But other than that, it was all good stuff. And of course, at the end, whatever, the X-Men, now it's our turn or something like that. But I do like how these people kind of basically took apart the X-Men unwittingly, let's say, like they got Psylocke to freaking take off with the plane and all that sort of stuff. It's good. It's okay business.
I agree about the Danger Room thing. That's the main thing I wanted to mention too. I don't like the fact that this team is called the Danger Room, but the idea of the team and the members involved and the idea that they're going after the X-Men is kind of interesting, that stuff. But yeah, otherwise it's a stupid fucking name for that team. I don't know why it's called that, but we'll leave it at that. Otherwise, yeah, it was an okay issue. I'm still off and on, hot and cold with this series, as you know. Same with you, but I just I don't know. I guess we'll see where this one goes. What'd you give this?
Yeah, compared to the X-Men comics that I've been reading, I'll give this a 3.75.
I go 3.5. Ultimate Wolverine number 15.
Ooh, what happened in here? Yeah, once again, I think we talked about this. Oh yeah, I didn't get that comic. I think I did. But now with the end of the Ultimate Universe, I thought all of this would be sort of rolling into the final battle, but it looks like everybody's just, they're just going to be ending their own stories and really have nothing to get into the mix of the final push. And I was hoping that all these comics somehow would end up in the mix. And here, I don't know if they're trying to redeem Liliana. Basically it's a lot of her history and how she was stuck in limbo and how she defeated Belasco or whatever that demon's name is, which isn't too far off from like the main universe, Liliana, and what happened to her, except when she came out here, I guess she decided to take over Russia and team up with the Maker. What do we have here with Wolverine? Is he fighting some freaking zombie and he loses his mind again? Like, freaking, how many times is this guy going to lose control? And and kind of just be a wild animal. And then what is Jean Grey do? Doesn't she just fry him basically to try and reset him? And it seems that while he was fried, he was in limbo. So now he thinks he might have an edge to get Liliana. Yeah, we'll see where it goes here. I think the next issue is the last issue, maybe.
Yeah.
It's like, once again, not a bad issue, but yeah, I think, if it wasn't only a few more issues, I'd be dropping this.
Yeah, it really is wasted potential on this story, on this series. I thought this was going to go bigger and better places than it did ultimately. There's a little pun for you, but unfortunately, yeah, it didn't rise to the occasion because of the announcement of them wrapping things up here. I don't know. I think they really fumbled the ball with all this.
Yeah,
this stuff.
Go so much further. This could be like an old man Logan almost, and just running into everybody. And like, I love having Logan, Jean Grey, and whatever this David Haller and the Sentinel. I like those three characters. And you never know who they could run into, in their further adventures. But now it's just whatever they're going to fight. They're going to fight. What's her name? Liliana. Isn't Colossus still in the mix there somehow too, or did he cut his head?
Yeah. Well, he was. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, this is, the storyline involving Magic. Like, I like Magic a lot as a character. I love the art on this book. Like, again, it's even had great artists this series. Alessandro Cappuccio. Great stuff. It looks great. But like what happened in this book is they go over some of the Eliana stuff, and then they basically, he fights a zombie or something, and then he's like, I know
they're a zombie.
Yeah, there's like somebody in the wastelands that's like undead that attacks them, and he's like, I know how to get there, and then it's like next issue's the last issue. So I'm just
like, why would they just shoot him? Like, why does he have to get up and close to kill the zombie? You got some guy that's not listening to anything. He's all, Rrr. You got a freaking Sentinel there that has long range weapons. You can just block them, but oh no, I'm Wolverine. I got to get up and close, and he takes a bite. Get out of here.
What'd you give this?
3.5.
Yeah, I have to too. 3.5. The Ultimate's 22.
Once again, this would be a great issue. It was like issue number 6. Maybe they could throw in this issue right after the one where they introduced the Red Skull. But no, except here we're at the end of the series. I'm expecting big things wrapping up, and we have another history issue. Like, what the hell? Like, it's a good story. I don't mind that. I do like the topics or the themes that they touch on here. You can kind of feel for Red Skull being whatever, Bucky Barnes, and he comes back from the war and nobody cares about anything, and now the world is sort of being corrupted and nobody cares about that, and then how he kind of gets into there and he goes, oh, you'd be proud of me, I'm trying to fight back against this, but I just can't fight anymore. They sent me undercover to try and control these skulls. I still don't know how they have the Punisher with the Red Skull. That doesn't track. They could have just had some Red Skull there. And then with John Walker being a Red Skull, and now he's helping Captain America to try and take out the actual Red Skull. And, you know, there's some big moments there where, you know, when Bucky Barnes is like kind of explaining a situation, and he goes, Cap, you're gone. You left me. Everything was gone. I did what I could do. And then, you know, Cap's there. Oh, don't worry. I'm here now. I can help you. I got you. You know, we'll get through this. And then he just cracks his neck. It's like, wow. Like some big things going on here. But once again, what? When? Now? Who cares?
I agree with you. It's a too little, too late. The issue end was crazy, though. I will say that did shock me. And but again, just to kind of like you said, go over all this stuff and just bring this into play with only a couple of issues to go, like they did here, after wasting so many issues that me and Chris were not a fan of. And we kind of just kept reading at that point out of the commitment of finishing the series because we knew it was ending within the year. You know what I mean? Like, it's a huge disappointment. It's just, again, but I will say, as an issue, this was the strongest issue in a while. Really,
as an issue, it's great, but
yeah, in terms of where they placed it in the storyline, like, it's just, a little too late, honestly. Like, it makes all these other wasted issues before. It makes me, again, there's been like instances of the greatness of what this comic used to be in the first half, and then where I'm just like, this is why I like this series right here. This is a great issue. So again, wasted potential. That's this whole Ultimates universe is like a waste. Like,
what I can't understand is, how they talk about Jonathan Hickman being the architect. They're trying to do that galactic whatever space stuff here, and we're gonna I'm gonna put out all these branches for people to take and run with it. Here we've had 2 series that have been running. I've been following the other series. From what I hear, people have liked them, and they have been running. I think they've been selling well. And we're going to cut it off at 2 years. Like, maybe they can have their maker story happen, and then, whatever else they were planning on doing happen, and just let these other freaking stories run. You have at least 3 issues that people would be following. Like, I'd definitely be following Ultimate Wolverine if that was going on. Yeah. Definitely be following the Ultimate Spider-Man. And, if this Ultimates wasn't so messed up with whatever was messed up with, I'd be in a few issues there, but they just shut all those down. Crazy.
Yeah, it is. It's disappointing, is what it is.
Yeah, but I give this issue a 3.75. It's a good issue.
I agree. 3.75 out of 5. It was a great issue. Amazing Spider-Man 24 to end out the show here. Oh, yeah, sorry.
See it covered.
Yep.
I'm still enjoying this run here. Nothing crazy. Nothing that it's just got to keep me going. I do like the scenes with. I can't believe I'm enjoying seeing Venom, Carnage, and Spider-Man teaming up, having them all together. It's like, what? I didn't even know I wanted this.
I agree. I hated on the symbiotes for so long, and here I am reading the Carnage series. I read the Venom series, and I'm loving this moment that's happening in this issue. I'm like, what's going on with me? I don't know.
And like Venom having that personality. Like, I don't know when Venom's speaking if that's the kind of shared thought that's just Venom on his own. Like, it seems when Venom's in the costume and, he speaks with whatever, this squiggly lines, that's Venom actually speaking. But then just having Mary Jane inside there, you tend to forget. And, they might talk about things that she might not understand about it or, have her own opinions on. And then the stuff with Carnage, it's whatever, I can understand why he's out there. It looks like whatever. Eddie Brock's dad is dead. And there's some cold lines by Spider-Man in here. He's like, well, I heard he was no good anyways. But, it never gets murdered.
Let's talk about that for a second. I thought that was a very flippant remark, too. I'm like, that doesn't sound like Spider-Man. I'm like, what the hell is that? Yeah, he was just like, yes, you can acknowledge that, but not literally in the room with his dead body.
Yeah, I heard he's an ass anyways, but let's go. Let's go. The trail's getting cold.
I don't know which one of these writers wrote that, but that was brutal. I was like, whoa, that kind of, I noticed that too. I'm glad you brought that up. I would have forgot about it. That was brutal. I was like, why? Why right now are you saying that?
Yeah.
But, yeah. He's like, oh, no big loss. Anyway.
Yeah. Let's go. Move on. And then, at the end, there's a nice twist there. Like, when you basically do have Spider-Man, whatever, Venom and Carnage there, just, you figure this Torment guy's finished. How can the series run for more issues? But, of course, Carnage puts Eddie Brock to sleep. and I guess he's been working with Torment hand in hand. So there's some business to be had here. So I'm ready for more.
Well, what I got from it, Chris, and I actually had to go back and look at it again. I think what ended up happening is here in this scene, I think when he got knocked out, that's when he decided to like, that's why when he opens up his body at the end and he's like asleep in it. I think
that's it. Yeah, the only thing is I don't know when he got knocked out, but yeah, you make a good point. Yeah, here it might be right here.
Yeah, because I did a double take when I got to the end, and I'm like, why is he just like sleeping in there? I'm like, what's going on? And then I had to go back. And then if I actually made note of it after this scene when he gets punched out here, it cuts to just red word balloons for Carnage after this, which means that it's Carnage. It's not him whatsoever. Like yelling like, oh yeah, where are you, Torment? And that's when he ended up meeting up with all those guys. Like that's that was as a result of this. Like that's what ended up happening. He got knocked out. That's what he was knocked out inside of him, and that's when he took. And I didn't notice that the first time I read it, but then when I went back, I noticed that like after that, you don't see the regular Flash Thompson, Eddie Brock word balloons anymore. So I'm liking this a lot, honestly. I'm not, I don't know how, I don't know why, but I'm digging it. It's a solid storyline, and it shouldn't work, and it is. So that's the most
crazy little scene here. There, I guess that's his scientist friend.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on there, but I don't know how those powers are going to manifest themselves.
I was about to say, he's just going to become a villain of his, Chris.
Yeah. What it is, I don't know.
This is going to be something in Peter Parker's life, another arch nemesis that hates on Peter Parker because he wasn't there to help him. And guess what?
It wasn't even him.
Yeah. That's just classic Spider-Man. I'm just like, as soon as I saw that scene, I'm like, oh yeah, he's going to become a villain. Yeah. He's going to become a villain. He's going to want his blood. Like, Peter, it's all his fault. Yeah, I'm like, no, it wasn't. But okay.
Some Ben Reilly and Hallows Eve soon again.
Exactly. But yeah, this Jesus Saez on art on this one, good stuff. It's I don't know how they're doing it, but this is good. That's all I'll say. Yeah. Anyways, what'd you give this, Chris?
I give it 3.75.
You know what? After talking about it, I'm gonna go for a 4 on this one. I dug it. Good stuff.
Okay, I'll give a 4 too. You twisted my arm.
Thank you, Chris. Also, I want to show this off before we talk about what we're looking for next week. Carrie Andrews Moon Knight variant. I don't usually buy this series, but he did a variant for this Vengeance of Moon Knight here, or whatever it's called now. It's Mark Spector Moon Knight.
So number 1 or 2 or
2. Yeah, he did a variant of this one, so I ordered this specifically, even though I'm not reading it currently. All right, Chris, what are you looking forward to checking out next week?
Hey, hopefully it's not as big as this one.
Yeah, this is huge. Bit of a longer show here today, guys. If you stuck around here throughout, thank you.
A lot of comics to get through.
This is March 25th, the week that's next week. Yeah.
Okay, so March 25th out of Marvel. Well, Amazing Spider-Man 25. Good for that. Ultimate Endgame 3. Fantastic Four 9. That's the Invincible Woman storyline. I'll probably be reading Iron Man 3. I don't know if I pulled this or not. I'm sort of in and out on this Iron Man business. Punisher 2. Weapons of Armageddon Wolverine 2. New Avengers. Probably reading Dungeons of Doom. I hope this Null 3. This sounds like this is going to be turning into some summer event with somehow Null and Hell, and somehow freaking Spider-Man's in the mix.
Of course.
Psylocke and Glorious X-Force, Generation X-23. Bunch of stuff to read. Not much I'm buying. I think that might be it for Marvel. See what DC got cooking. Absolute Wonder Woman 18. Oh, is this true? Batman 163, or did that get pushed to April again? Hush 3 or whatever, Hush 2 storyline.
I'm not seeing it on my list.
Okay. I think I did get pushed out. I think I'm still in on Superman 36. Oh, DC Marvel, Superman, Spider-Man. Looking forward to that.
Oh, yeah.
I think I got a Harley Quinn cover. No, not this one. I got the next one. There's some nice variant covers, homage variant covers. think that's it for DC. We got Cooking with Image, Skinbreaker 7, High Street 11 and 12. I don't know what that's about.
No, I can't be right.
Yeah, that can't be right. Final Box 5. Let Death Fight Forever. I think I'll be reading that. And there's one other one here. Capes 5. White Sky 2. I read that first one. Maybe I'll read the next one. But that just seems like a TV show synopsis.
Yeah, another decent sized week though, honestly, just looking at it. So yeah, Absolute Wonder Woman. These are things I'm picking up. Absolute Wonder Woman, Detective Comics, DC Marvel, Superman, Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 25, Ultimate Endgame 3. I also just noticed, I'm not picking this up, but I did just notice, I want to give a shout out to this. Next issue, we were just talking about it today. I didn't realize Flash 31 that comes out this week of March 25th is the first issue of Ryan North's run.
Oh, nice.
So I might have to check that out. And it's actually drawn by an artist, Gavin Guidry, who's a subscriber of her channel. So shout out to you, man. Like I saw he's yeah.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Shout out. Yeah. Cheers to Gavin I hope I'm saying your last name right. I think it's Guidry, Guidry. But if I'm not, please correct me. Hit us up in the comments. I saw that you're a subscriber of the channel, so thanks for that. Iron Man number 3, Void Rivals 28, Punisher 2, Wolverine Weapons of Armageddon number 2, Skinbreaker 7, Punisher Marvel Knights number 4, the last issue that comes out, it looks like. Yeah. Psylocke Ninja, I think I may have pre-ordered. I don't know. Yeah, it depends on the cover. Depends all on the cover on that one. Minor Arcana 15. Yeah, it's another big week, looks like. Yeah, that might be about it of what I'm picking up. But then there's a bunch of things I'm reading digitally as well. Superman, Justice League Unlimited, maybe. Fantastic Four, definitely. Flash, I'm definitely gonna have to check out. I might have to pick that. I might have to try to pick up the issue of that because Ryan North's writing it. I think it has potential to be really good, so I might have to go out and grab that instead of reading digitally. New Avengers 10. That's the last issue of that. Last issue of Dungeons. Yeah, last issue of Dungeons of Doom, and Peril of Brutal Dark Ezra Kane mystery. Yeah, those are just things I'm probably reading digitally here next week. Capes. Yeah, that's about it, looks like. Okay, so yeah, another good sized week. Make sure to check us out, guys. And make sure to like and subscribe as always. Chris, what was your favorite book of the week?
I think I had Exquisite Corpses on the list. The G.I. Joe wasn't bad, but I'm going to have to give it to Infernal Hulk. When I read that one, that's just something I've been looking forward to. Or looking for in a Hulk book for a while.
That's a great pick, and it's a great book, and it's definitely in the running for me this week. I'd also probably say End of Life was in the running for me this week. Jessica Jones didn't come out this week technically, so I can't pick that. Devil on My Shoulder was solid, but I don't know if it was in the running. You know what, though? I have to go with the book that brought me the most joy. If I really overthink it, it may not even be the best book out this week, but I did love it. And that's Invincible Universe Battle Beast number 7. I'm just happy this book is back in my life. I was really excited by the return of this book, so I got to go with that this week. And, the Todd McFarlane cover, Chris, is all about that.
In there. But that art is underrated in there. That's like some David Finch level art in there. There's a lot of detail going on in those panels too. And for Ryan Ottley, like from the things I remember him from, did he do Vanish with
No.
Oh, that wasn't Ryan Ottley. Okay.
No.
Didn't he do the Hulk?
Yes. So he did the Donny Cates. Yeah, he did Donny Cates' Hulk. But he did majority of all of Invincible with Robert Kirkman. That's how he got his claim to fame. He did.
Yeah, like that's just the stuff that I've seen from him because
you probably
Hulk didn't look anything like this.
No, I think this is where he excelled. Like he excels at super violent, like more like this is more detailed, absolutely, because as a creator.
Yeah, I'm not saying the violence and like the action, just like the characters, like the panels, the detail in every panel is like just it's out there. It's crazy.
Yeah, I agree. He's killing this book, and I think it's just because he's back in the Invincible universe again, right? Like that's where he kind of He made his name. And I think like the problem with him when he did some stuff for Marvel, like the Hulk, you probably also read some of his Nick Spencer Spider-Man he did for a bit as well. The Nick Spencer Spider-Man run. I remember you said you were reading some of that back when it first came out.
I remember in there. I think I would have recognized that art.
But he did some of that stuff earlier on. The problem with that is because, like you said, the detail that he puts into it, he couldn't like survive on a monthly Marvel book, like in terms of his like artwork, right? Like he wasn't somebody who was fast enough to kind of keep up with that. He needs to be on an Image title like this, where you can kind of take a little bit longer with it, especially because, you know, they took off a few months in between arcs for this one. So, which I'm all for if the art comes out looking like this.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
So he's killing it on this book. I agree. So yeah, good stuff. Just happy that it's back on the stands. If we get 6 issues of this and they want to take a few months off again, I'm okay with that. That's totally fine with me. You keep the quality up, right? So instead of getting some other baloney artist on it. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this episode. Make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to check us out. This is our weekly comic book review show, and we'll be back next week, as always, on Comic Shop Talk and Late Night Chat Network. Your first stop for pop culture talk. All right, Chris, thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.